John was a young 23-year-old man full of adventure and stupidity who was on a ship to France in the summer of 1799. John saw a man pretending to swallow knives. John was so impressed he couldn't believe his eyes, and he didn't understand that the knives were fake. Once the show was over, the sailors returned to the ship and began drinking from their barrels of ale. Inspired by his knife swallower, John drunkenly told his crewmates that he could also swallow knives. The other sailors weren't convinced, so they told him to prove it. Confidently, John pulled out a small pocket knife, forced it into his mouth, and swallowed it. As the night went on, his crewmates kept giving him pocket knives. They wanted to see him do it again, and by the end of the night, John had swallowed 3 more. The next day, John woke up and went to relieve himself off the side of the boat. He passed one of the pocket knives, and by the next day, he was relieved to pass 2 more of the pocket knives. Over the next 6 years, he stopped swallowing knives, but of course he couldn't help himself. In March 1805, John and the rest of the crew were on land drinking in a gathering of sailors when he started bragging about his knife swallowing skills again. When people called him a liar, he brought out another knife and swallowed it immediately, and that night he swallowed 5 more knives. By the following morning, John had become a local celebrity. People from all over town came to see the strange drunken sailor swallow more knives, and he ended up swallowing 8 more. To no one's surprise, he woke up the next morning with extreme pain in his stomach. He ran to the closest bathroom and threw up a good amount of blood and small bits of wood. The knives were stuck inside of his intestines. He laid in bed all day in absolute agony, and he couldn't work. So he was soon discharged from his duties as a sailor because of his condition, and 3.5 more years passed while he was in horrendous chronic pain. He would vomit and defecate several small fragments of metal and wood throughout the years. John just became sicker and sicker by the day. His skin became pale and his guts bulged with pain. And by the time of his last doctor's visit, he was permanently sent home, and the doctor deemed him incurable. And in March of 1809, John finally died from internal infections and intense pain.